Look, I've learned how to become such a good business person as a result of fatherhood, because it's taught me a really important fundamental lesson, which is how do you lead and build trust? How do you build relationships and trust? Because again, it's one thing to honor your commitments, but how do you honor a commitment to your child, who can't talk and can't see you following through on a commitment? And that's where we've got to honor the energy. And so to me, one of the best ways to build trust outside of commitments is understanding that as parents, our fundamental role is to make kids feel safe so that they can grow, and so it is an entire journey around. Have you got kids, Jay? Are you on the band? Okay, so you've got to look forward to, but this is what we learn. Like our goal here is to develop the kids so that they can perform at their best, okay, and they can express their potential. Okay, but oftentimes we misunderstand what that looks like. We think, managing performance is yelling at people. You wouldn't yell at your fucking team member. Why would you yell at your kid? Yes, you might speak loud and stern and you might have strong boundaries and be very assertive, but you wouldn't smack an employee. So why would you smack a kid? And so I've really learned about the importance of the nonverbal dynamics of influence, or leadership, as I think it's probably most ethically framed, because it's not about influence. It's about, managing a dynamic whereby, you're able to influence people with less resistance to do the right things. Whether it be clean up their room or, put their shoes on, or clean up their Lego. It's a process of, you can either learn how to manage parenting through domination and aggression, and that'll be a fucking conflict zone, a chaos zone, a stress zone. Okay. Or you can learn how to manage it through communication, which is going to be slower. It's going to take more time. Okay. But fundamentally, when you communicate slowly with your kids and you don't use aggression and domination, guess what? They fucking trust you. And so they're more likely to follow your direction. And guess what? The same is true with your team. If you take the time, to build and to learn and to create a safe place, and make them realize that making a mistake isn't a terminal thing, and you can support them and provide them the resources. And they go, oh, it is actually safe for me to, spread my petals and fly.
And what have you noticed about love when you had your son as opposed to when you didn't have your son?
You don't know love until you have a child. Like I'm like a fucking romantic. Like I love to love. I love the process of love. But it wasn't until I saw my son's head crown and then he came out, and then over time you just have this being that you look at and you're just like, I would literally, do anything for you. There's nothing I wouldn't do for you. I'd give you my life in a second. And to me, it's just the most beautiful experience. It can be a little bit, I can see how people get lost. They lose themselves in their kids because you find this object that you want to throw so much love at. But it's been also a great process of learning how to love, but learning how to love in a really interdependent way, and giving him his space to grow at the same time, and not loving him so much that I smother his ability to be anything other than who he is, not a combination of the two of us being, one, so to speak, in a co-dynamic.